And as expected, the emergence of Ifeanyi Okowa is eliciting reactions. Well, let's dip in the discussion further as Professor Charles Owekako, who is the secretary of the Igbo Lead Elders Consultative Forum, and Segun Sowunmi, a former media aide to Atiku Abubakar, join us now. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us tonight. Let me begin with you, Professor Charles. What's your reaction to the emergence of Senator Ifeanyi Okowa as Atiku's VP? Were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised. As a matter of fact, over 7 days ago, I had already told people that certainly Okowa emerged as the running mate to Atiku. Now, for the analysis, I want to analyze his emergence from different perspectives. Administratively, Okowa, is well read. He has the experience, having been a senator, and now a second-term governor. So he has administrative experience to be a good running mate to His Excellency Atiku Abubakar. Having said that, analytically, he's a calculated, humble, and diplomatic man. Age is also on his side, so it's a good combination with Atiku Abubakar.
So, Professor,
now, wait. Strategically, he is from Delta, governor of Delta, is considered from Igbo-speaking part of Delta, because Southeast believes that they have been robbed of the presidency. So by taking somebody from Okowa from Delta, is kind of bridging a gap between Southeast and Southwest on the one hand, and then South and the North on the other side. Then legally,
let me just come in at that point. Let me just come in at this point. With the point you've just made. So are you saying he is the man for the job and not just a balancing act to garner votes from the East?
Well, you cannot treat it in isolation. You talk about his qualification experience on one side. You talk of other things. That's why I wanted to say strategically, legally. Let me go to legally. You found out that administratively he has the experience. You also found out that calculatively he's equally good. But legally, that action actually contravenes Section 14, subsection 3 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that actually provides that is a principle of federal character and quota system, and even the Constitution of PDP that they provide for zoning arrangement. Yeah. So you find out that, as a matter of fact, it's supposed to be from the Southeast. If you check it, because Southeast has not been able to do this.
Indeed.
So,
all right, Professor, and the Southeast has always pitched its tent with the PDP. But let me bring in Segun Sowunmi into the conversation. Segun, I mean, it balances the North-South dichotomy. It balances the religious divide, Muslim-Christian ticket. But you have worked with the man, Atiku Abubakar. Do you think this was a wise decision? Is it politically correct to have done this, to have chosen an Okowa over, for instance, a Wike or Ihedi or Hakim? Those are the names we have heard around town.
There are many things a candidate and his party considers when it comes to the vice presidency. I dare say that in our history, we've never had a more difficult, needing of stellar nerves decision than this time. Why? Because all of the candidates that were considered are men who bring significant quality to the ticket. But one thing tips it, and that is that when a party goes through the process of bringing up potential names, the onus lies on the candidate to now, having considered and reached out to diverse stakeholders, to push the needle in the direction it needed to be put. One thing I can say for a fact is that he's very calm. He's quite experienced, having crossed through all the ginneries of the leadership, local government, states, and what have you. He has been given some significant responsibility in the party that has required stellar quality, stable nerve, right conduct, and decorum of language. And he comes from a zone where the PDP must of necessity look for numbers. He also is a Christian. And over and above that, he doesn't have too many baggage when it comes to other sections of the country. So when you look at it, you will say, had he not been picked, would the other man have been qualified? The answer is yes. But now that he has been picked, we will say congratulations for the PDP, because at least the process that led to his being picked was reasonably transparent. And almost every part of the Nigerian society could follow us. You were aware that a team was created. You were aware that a shortlist was made. But at the end of the day, a decision has to be taken. And like the candidate, His Excellency Waziri Atiku Abubakar said in his speech, he said, I have been called upon to take a very difficult decision. And I must recognize that beyond the need to win, there is also the need to make sure that the next government, which we hope Atiku Abubakar, with the help of Nigerians, will form, will be a government that can hit the ground running. Atiku is big on education. Okowa is big on education.
There's something he mentioned in that speech as well. I just want you to clarify, because you've worked closely with him. And he said that Okowa personifies the future Nigerian youths deserve. I really want to understand that. There's been lots of clamor from Nigerian youths on what they want this country to be, the change they want to see in the administration of this country. What do you think Atiku Abubakar meant by that statement?
Well, I could say that there is a process by which you garner the right type of experience that can make the Nigerian state and the Nigerian stakeholders comfortable and confident that you can form government. Okay. One of them, above all, is that you have experience with executive. Okowa ticks that box. Okay. The other is that you have experience with managing the legislature because you understand the legislature. Okowa ticks that box. The more important is that does your conduct, your style of communication, your courage, and the way people see you in the country, does it calm fray nerves? Okowa fits that box. And therefore, as much as I know, a lot of prayers, a lot of consultation would have gone into it, but I ask you again, do you not look at Okowa and what he has done with himself, and how he has carried himself in the Nigerian state, and say to yourself, this is a material you can send to the United Nations to represent Nigeria, and he will deliver the lines in a way that all Nigerians will be proud. One thing you should note is that, unlike our rivals, we don't play games.
You don't play games. Let me bring in Professor back into the conversation. You mentioned the Southeast, and of course how you say this is legally wrong for the PDP to have overlooked them because it's there in the Article 7, subsection 3 of the Constitution, and of course the federal character entrenched in the Nigerian 1999 Constitution as amended. Now that the Southeast has what we like to call son of the soil on a ticket, not as a running mate, but as a candidate, a Peter Obi, who is the presidential candidate of a Labour Party, do you think the PDP should be worried that a Peter Obi may deny an Atiku candidate numbers from the region and the PDP playing into the hands of the APC?
Yes, I think PDP has every cause to be worried because PDP has actually offended Southeast. Southeast has made immense contributions to PDP right from the formative stage. You know, the former Vice President, late Dr. Alex Ekwueme, spearheaded the formation of PDP. And from then till now, PDP Southeast has consistently voted for PDP. Even during the Jonathan era, Southeast zone gave Jonathan more votes than any other zone. So we believe that this time around, PDP should remember Southeast. Having done that, Peter Obi is an illustrious son of Southeast, and he has gone to another party. Certainly, Peter Obi has actually become a national movement beyond Southeast. So you see that with the influence of Peter Obi, it will be difficult for any other person to stop him because his people felt that they have been shortchanged. And because of that, every person in the Southeast is bracing up for 2023 presidential election. So you see that Peter Obi is now seen as an arrowhead of the marginalized sections of the country, not only the Southeast. The downgrading, the poor people, the students that have been at home, the ASU members that their salaries have been stopped. So all the deprived groups of Nigeria, they now rally around Peter Obi. Any person that has injustice today follows Peter Obi. And PDP has every cause to worry. PDP actually needs to mend first with the Southeast. All right, otherwise, I wouldn't know what the future holds. PDP should worry.
Okay, Prof, let's move beyond things we cannot change at this time. And let's go back to the issue of performance. I mean, most Nigerians say we need to change the narrative, you know, the whole religious and ethnic narrative, and move on to issues of performance. Taking a look at the person we have before us now, I mean, if you were following us earlier, you did see the reactions from those who did say they do not support what has just happened. They would prefer a weekend. Now, let's take a look at this individual. Just my own question to you. There are those who say security is number one on the list today, insecurity in Nigeria. And there are those who strongly believe that a person like Wike would step in as vice president, be it a ceremonial position or not, but will have a say and has the political will to end it. On one hand, we also take a look at Okowa, who is also quite outspoken, who in 2021 hosted about 16 governors and had very strong statements to say about the state of the nation. Do we see, you know, a person who you think will sit in there comfortably as a ceremonial head, or do you see someone who for the first time will go beyond just occupying the position as a vice president, but speak to the issues that affect the nation?
Well, as a matter of fact, the position of vice president is a constitutional matter. So a vice president cannot do more than what the constitution says he should do. So the next thing is that it depends on the relationship between the principal, that is the president, and the vice president. For example, you found out that in 1999, because of excellent relationship between Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, who was the president, and his vice, Atiku, so he delegated most functions to Atiku. So Atiku, as a vice president, was an active and the executive vice president because many functions were delegated to him. So, but that is not in consonance with the constitutional provision. So it depends on how Atiku wants to run his administration. Otherwise, Okowa will depend on whatever Atiku says he should do, he will do that. A vice president, that's why in local parlance, they describe anything vice as a spare tire that can only be active when the rear tire is not there. So Okowa cannot change it. All right, it doesn't matter how he wants to.
Let's bring Segun Sowunmi here. What do you think about this? What is your take?
Well, I would say to my brothers of Igbo extraction, it is a matter of deliberate policy that the People's Democratic Party has always looked for a pathway for the Igbos to assume the presidency. It's the reason why whatever phenomenon Governor Peter Obi, former Governor Peter Obi has become, he was able to make it that way because that pathway was given. Incidentally, he's no longer available to be considered for vice president. We have considered a man whose name is Ifeanyi, and you cannot select who is more Igbo than the others. For our ability to demonstrate that we represent a particular ethnic coloration is in our name. In any case, have we picked a man who can also do the job of president in case push came to shove? Yes, we have. Have we tried to bend backward over to not play to the gallery, to not look for things that are just fleeting, but look for some stable substance and some quality. Yes, we have. Is there a role for all the others in this big enterprise called Nigeria? Great roles exist for His Excellency, my man, Governor Sowunmi, and his loyalty will be tested now, because if you are a party man, some days you don't get what you want, but you remain a party man. Great role remains for the Southeast in terms of the pathway. There is no point in deceiving yourself that you have all the numbers locked into only one zone. What we are trying to do here is provide a ticket that can challenge and win an election, but at the same time, do the job. Unite the country, accommodate everybody, calm, free nerves, and get us to win.
But that's a good point to end this particular interview. Thank you so much for speaking with us on the emergence of Ifeanyi Okowa as vice presidential candidate for the PDP. We've been speaking to Segun Sowunmi, former media aide to Atiku Abubakar, and Charles Nwekaraku, Professor Charles Nwekaraku, I beg your pardon, who is the secretary of the Igbo Elders Consultative Forum.